Welcome, everybody, to another exciting REEA presenter interview session. And today's session is a little special because it's not actually at a session during conference. It's at three sessions around conference. So nice, you get her thrice. Theresa Barnabei joining us today.
That's cute. So nice. Thrice. It's very good.
Look, I rhyme all the
Right
time.
off the top of your head.
I've used it once or twice, right? Rhyme all the time. It's the benefit of having young kids, right? You learn nursery rhymes on the fly. So
True. Cool.
so GSI, I mean, this is kind of one of your babies, isn't it, Theresa? I mean,
Yes.
this is a place where you've met a lot of us, and not just met a lot of us, but connected with a lot of us over the years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what inspired this program?
So I was on the education committee and I threw this idea out that I thought that as a member benefit, we should have a learning ladder, right? And we had the DREI and nothing that went before that. And so I thought, what if we just had a learning ladder that we take people step by step, slowly through the process of improving their instructor capabilities and skill set. And of course, when you're on a committee and you say, oh, I think we should do this, the next thing I know is somebody's like, that's a really good idea. You should do it. And I said, well, I'll do it, but I'm not going to do it by myself. And that's when Bruce and I started collaborating. And it was like, yeah, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
3 years later, we launched GSI 1. Then it took us another year to launch GSI 2 and another year to launch GSI 3. People ask all the time, why did it take so long? Well, first of all, we were busy people and making this happen at the same time. And then we did it so research back that what took the most amount of time was going out and doing the research and pulling all the pieces together so that we have a valid training program that literally will change the way you teach, which will change the way your students learn. And it's all research back, so there's no question as to whether we should or we shouldn't. It's just a matter of, will you implement what the GSI stands for, which is Gold Standard Instructor? Will you become that person?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun on the path and the journey to the GSI. Yeah.
Well, and when we're talking Bruce, we're of course talking the undescribable Bruce Moyer out of North Carolina.
Yes.
You both are past presidents. You both built this program together. I mean, it wasn't just a ladder of program building when you're talking about working with somebody for 6 years to develop something. I mean, you two collectively birthed a child that now is shared with so many people across REEA. I got to imagine just that experience with Bruce was just a story in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. If we would have recorded half the stuff, we would have, when we were working on Zoom together, if we had those, what do you call those, outtakes? Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was great. It was a phenomenal opportunity for me. I believe it was the same for him. And we're proud of what was developed on behalf of REEA. Really, really proud of it.
So how many I mean, it's what, a couple hundred members now of REEA that have gone through the GSI program, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I call it a collective. I think there is a GSI collective out there. And we can learn skill set no matter where we go. Like we just have to be aware enough to either watch an instructor and then incorporate some things that they're doing, or we can learn skill set. What we can't teach people a lot of times is, what do you do when you're in the classroom naturally for 3 days with this, for the most part, the same group of people? And what happens is that there are bonds that are formed through those 3 days because of the way the course is set up. We didn't intend for it to happen. We just saw it happen. Like the very first time we taught it, there were relationships forged that are still in place today, where people know who their go-to people are for anything, questions. business, personal. It's unbelievable. And when we do it at conference, it's almost like you have a built-in tribe. Like you don't have to worry about, well, who am I going to hang out with? And I can speak to that because I'm a massive introvert. Most people don't think that, but I am. And so when I would go to conferences, and you can ask Chris this, when I would go to conferences, I would just as soon spend time in my room and socialize. And so I know what that feels like to go to conference and not know people and figure out what am I going to do? And I don't want to stand at a table by myself and all those things that go through our head when we're like new into an organization. The GSI journey brings people together so fast that you have an immediate tribe and you have bonds that last. I'm going to say forever. I'm pretty sure that they'll last forever. And I always joke about it. I laugh like, you know, when you go on a retreat or you're a senior in high school and you say, oh my God, we're going to stay together forever. And you don't. Here, GSI, they don't even need to say we're going to stay together forever. They are already staying together. And I think that, you know, we can't put that on a flyer and market that, or, well, you probably could put that on some kind of marketing assistant.
We could do that. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. But that's really, to me, as you're learning how to improve your instructor skill set, you're actually becoming so ingrained with the people who want the same thing as you do. So it's almost like, you know, people a lot of times say, well, I found my tribe, and it's like-minded people, and it's not. It's really like these goal setters. Like they're all goal setters to be better instructors, and you go through this together with people. That to me is priceless.
Well, in two things to add to that. One is anecdotal in the sense that here's a shout out to you, Janie, my big sister from Alabama. I didn't know I had a sister, but Janie and I, you saw it, sat in your class last year, giggled, made jokes, cracked jokes the entire time, and we're the best of friends. So much so that she made quilts for my girls at Christmas and sent them over. It again, never had to say it. It was just done. But it also speaks to why we make decisions. And I say yell, but I mean, I've lectured enough people, you included, about the fact that you can't disassociate from the emotional impact that you have. So if you have a learning environment where you are making such an emotional impact on people, you start to understand why students are coming to you in the first place. They have an emotional challenge that you can help overcome as an instructor. And it just never made more sense than standing in your class, learning that, seeing that, feeling that through the process.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, you experience it and then you incorporate it because there's no teaching that, right? Sure, there are processes, there's interactive teaching tools that we talk about all the time that foster that, but you experience that. And now that experience is never going to leave you, and it only strengthens your relationship with the people that you went through that class with, Janie and the others. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So do you see the conference then? Obviously, you see immediate reflections of that as everybody's going from session to session. You've probably anecdotally noticed how people in your classes are bonding at that conference, but long after, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I watch and you all can pay attention to this, but I watch the conversations in the halls, the gatherings in the halls between the sessions, which are just as impactful as being in the session, because that collective is still working to the point where this is funny. So we were at the end of conference last year, and the people literally had to move us out because they were opening up where we were for the event for that night, the closing dinner. And we didn't want to leave. Like we're just in these pockets of, we just want to stay with each other. And we literally had to be asked to take it someplace else because they needed the space. And then, so we leave and we go get ready for the welcome dinner, and we come back and there they all are back at the tables together, just hanging, right? And which makes it easy for me because then I just get to visit the different tribes, which is really cool, which makes it so much easier for me as an introvert to be able to be like so in the middle of all these amazing people who are still so excited, you know, because we go 2 days before and then the 2 days of the conference, and then they're excited for the next day. And you think they'd be ready to go home, and they're not. They're ready to come back to class. And
Hmm.
man, to think about that, not just from the GSI perspective, but that we get to have that impact when we go back to our homes and start changing up how we do things in the classroom. We get that from students. And the number one thing I get asked, if I can now talk about the business side, the number one thing I get asked all the time is, how do you fill the room? You
Hmm.
know, and the way you fill the room is you just make people to want to be in the room with you.
That's it.
That's a skill set. And you can create that experience for them based on the stuff that we teach in the GSI. So
100%.
happy about that. Rollover effect is immeasurable.
Which again, I mean, I remember last year, right? There were what, like 30 of us in the room for the first 2 days because we hadn't gone through that part. But that third day is what blew me away because you had people that had taken the first two sessions in Alabama and they drove all the way to Memphis to get that third session. And
Right.
it was just crazy fun. Because it was also the third day where we're learning all this cool stuff and all the way that you set up all your little design elements, and it was again, without giving away too much, I can tell you it was it was fun, but it was productive. It was
Yeah.
amazing with people that I love being around,
Yeah.
and
And very purposeful. The course is very purposeful. The building block, the one on top of the other, on top of the other, consistently for 3 days. It really is a little bit mind-blowing when you get through it all. But very specifically designed to do exactly what it does. So yeah, yeah,
well, and again, we could probably extol the virtues. It not only helps you in the classroom, from a business side, it helps you run your business better. It absolutely does. 100% does. I know it for a fact. I can guarantee you that.
yeah,
As a GSI myself. So we've
yeah.
talked quite a bit about it. We've given nugget after nugget after nugget after nugget of value here. But what's that one platinum nugget that you want to offer people if they're still on the fence after watching you talk the way you have about the GSI program that is your baby? What is that
Yeah.
platinum nugget? What is that one thing you want them to understand?
You know, a lot of times people will say it's life changing. And we kind of get tired of hearing that, right? But I got to tell you, it was life changing for me to write it with Bruce. It was life changing for me to teach it the first time. And every single time I still teach it, which is years later, I don't even know how many GSIs we've taught. I get something so valuable because the people in the room influence, almost dictate the conversation that happens in between the prescribed content that you can't plan, but you know it's coming. The conversations, the questions that people ask, the answers that are given. I'm going to give you a specific example. I'm going to give something little away. When we're creating things in GSI2, we have what we call the test lab. And the test lab is your peers really helping you, the collective, again, in the classroom, helping you by their initial reaction to when you say the name of a class or you say the name of a concept and the natural reaction that people have, like, oh, that's good. You know, you got it. Like you just got the blessing, you just got permission. Go do that thing.
Hmm.
And when we're entrepreneurs, which instructors and real estate agents, we really are entrepreneurs. We're out there on our own.
Yep.
To sometimes have that test lab collective, like where are you going to get that kind of feedback? Where are you going to get that kind of endorsement? Uh, I don't even know what I don't even know what else to say
Yeah.
because it's that, whoops. It's that huge.
Yeah.
It's really
Well,
that huge.
and look, last thing I'll add to it, because I could sit here and probably talk for hours about how much I love you and that GSI program because of the time that we spent. Being an entrepreneur is the loneliest professional position that you can be in
Yeah,
because you don't have an office necessarily. You
right.
maybe have a desk that you rent from a brokerage, or maybe you have a school that you run on your own. But being an entrepreneur is lonely.
Yeah,
So when you're in a room where you're not alone, it inspires you to be a little nuts. Good nuts, but a little nuts to throw out just crazy ideas that you've always had a thought on. And you can get some real time feedback on, which
yeah,
again, priceless. You can't put a value on it quantitatively. It's
no,
purely qualitative. So let me add this to everybody that is still watching at this point. You want your life changed? You want to be around Theresa. To be around Theresa, yeah, you can register for the conference, which you can right now at reaconference.com, but you can also register for your GSI. You can also spend those 3 life-changing days with people like Theresa, people like my sister Janie that I talked about. I don't know if you want to spend 3 days around me. I can be quite a bit. I am an extrovert. I come at you fast and hard sometimes, but it doesn't matter because, like Theresa said, you have your tribe. You have the big tribe at REEA, you have your GSI tribe. You can register right now at reaconference.com. Please trust me, you do not want to pass
no,
up this opportunity. Do it for yourself. Be selfish in this particular instance and register so that you can go share yourself with the world. It's an amazing thing. reaconference.com. Theresa, thanks for being a friend. Thanks for being a colleague. Thanks for being a mentor. And thanks for taking some time today to talk about the GSI program.
no. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you and everything that you do, always. And I miss you.
I miss you too. I can't wait.